It's finally game day. Can Cam Ward continue his Heisman campaign against the Cal Golden Bears?
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Now, today being game day is the good news. The bad news is we got to wait till 10:30 p.m. to kick this thing off. I hope you guys have your 5-hour energy ready. I hope you have your cafecito ready. It's going to be flowing all throughout the day. I am Alex Dono, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet and co-host of Locked On ACC. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You're undefeated, 5-0, number 8 Miami Hurricanes. Take on the 3-1 Cal Golden Bears. College game day is in town there in Berkeley. This is Cal's first ever home ACC game. They get to host Miami for ACC After Dark at 10:30 p.m. It's like a callback to all the former Pac-12 days. And to talk more about this one, as we're going to talk game day predictions today. We'll talk about the return of Reuben Bain, and we'll talk about Cam Ward, who has faced the Cal Golden Bears before. Very good friend of mine, very good friend of ours, Raymond Borg. You know him as GA Canes fan, joins us. So, Raymond, first and foremost, Cam Ward has averaged 354 passing yards per game this season. Can he keep that pace up against Cal tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Cal's defense is not as great as everybody thinks it is. I'm not very impressed. And actually, at least living out there back in the late 90s, I know how that team's really received. But they've played basically UC Davis, which is a 1AA team, Auburn, which is extremely disappointing this year, San Diego State, which hasn't been any good since Harbaugh was coaching there many years ago. And Florida State is just absolutely a disaster this season. I think absolutely he can get another 350, 400 yards. He's done it before when he was at Wazoo last year.
Yeah, by the way, when I just said Ward averages 354 per game, I actually shortchanged our guy a little bit. 356.4 yards per game passing so far. Now, Ward, last season, his team, Washington State, did lose against Cal last year, but, he was basically the reason why Washington State was in it. He's got a much better team around him now at Miami. They lost that one 42-39. And Ward last year against Cal threw for 358 yards, 3 touchdown passes. He did throw an interception. He also had a fumble lost on a hard sack. His offensive line, as we know, in Wazoo wasn't very good. But we did have last year, Raymond, when Ward faced the Golden Bears, he put up big numbers. His team lost, but again, 2 completely different football teams. But he did commit a couple turnovers against Cal.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Cal actually had 2 fumbles for a touchdown in that game. When I was double checking the statistics last night, Cal fumbled 3 times. He actually fumbled 3 times and then lost all 3. Also, like you said, was sacked 6 times. Had a horrible game, but he basically was the only thing they had on offense. So he had to do the best he can. Probably try. I have not seen a lot of highlights of the game. It's been a year, but he probably was trying to do, tricksy plays, whatever, just to do anything to get that ball down the field and rush balls. So that's probably why he fumbled. They realized that he was the only weapon Wazoo really had. So they basically targeted him. So it was, like he says, only 42-39. And reading some of the quotes from at the end of the game, I was really kind of had a giggle when I saw Mendoza make a comment about how Cal has an elite defense. I'm like, you have an elite defense, but you just gave up 39 points to Wazoo, and you just basically broke and basically Cal ended ended their 4-game losing streak. So, and Wazoo. So, I'm not sure that's actually what I call a great defense.
Well, they've been very good so far this year, though, and they haven't faced an offense like Miami, Cal. But against the 2 Power 4 quarterbacks that they've gone up against, they turned over Peyton Thorne 4 times, 4 interceptions. They held Auburn's Peyton Thorne to 165 passing yards. They held Florida State's DJ Uiagalelei, who's not exactly been the gold standard this year, to 177 passing yards in that one. So we'll see if Ward can continue his trend of throwing for over 300 yards in every game. He's, in fact, the first Miami quarterback to start his Canes career with 5 straight games of at least 300 passing yards. And In the case of Ward, Raymond, I know there's familiarity there, him having played at Cal before, Kiko Mauinoa having played against Cal, Mish Powell. Miami's got Damian Martinez, who Justin Wilcox, the coach of Cal, referred to him as the best running back that Cal faced last year. So there's a lot of Pac-12 familiarity. But coming out of this game, do you think we're going to be talking about Cam Ward still being in the Heisman race? He's currently second odds behind Jalen Milroe.
If he gets another 400 yards, absolutely. I see no reason why he can't get that. He's the second leading, passing yards next to Dart at Ole Miss. I see absolutely no reason he can't throw for over 400 yards and rush probably for another 50 to 75 against that defense.
Well, I want to talk when we come back about the return of Reuben Bain, because again, if you match up one of Miami's biggest strengths against one of Cal's biggest weaknesses, Miami's defensive line, I should say, against the Cal offensive line, you guys want to keep it locked right here. It's game day. We're going to be, I've got a lot of energy right now. Can I sustain it for about another 16 hours? We will find out throughout the day. You guys want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Oh, and we're only getting started with FanDuel. Folks, the Miami Hurricanes tonight are favored by 10.5 points when they go into Cal. The over-under for this game is 53.5. If you think Miami's going to keep scoring to their average so far this year, they average nearly 50 points per game. You might want to look at smashing that over. Miami is minus 360 on the money line if you don't have the guts to take Miami against the spread. But you can find all of this goodness at FanDuel.com, America's #1 sports book. And hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We're also proudly brought to you by Game Time. Guys, if you're looking for last-minute tickets, Game Time is the spot for you. They've got the most incredible features right there on the app. It's the only ticket app that I use. They've got the best prices, and the prices get better and better the closer you get to kickoff, the first pitch. You can also get tickets to concerts, musical theater, comedy. You can get all of it at the Game Time app. And Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Guys, you make sure you turn on the all-in pricing feature at Game Time. This is a game changer. They show you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Thank you so much for making this episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. We got our pal Raymond Borg at GA Canes Fan with us. Ray, the other headline maker tonight, this has been confirmed throughout the week. Mario Cristobal announced it on Monday. Reuben Hurricane Bain is back. Miami's social media accounts seemingly have confirmed it with some, X and Instagram posts throughout the week that Reuben Bain is going to be back. This is someone who was, one of the probably two best players on Miami's defense last year, along with Kiko Mauinoa. 7.5 sacks. That was co-team lead with Kiko. Second on the team with 12.5 tackles for loss. Ray, we haven't seen Bain since the first defensive possession of the first game against Florida. He played 3 snaps all season long. We're going to see him again tonight.
Yeah, I think that's very important because last year we're dealing with the defending, but ACC Rookie of the Year last year, freshman All-American. I mean, offenses and offensive line coaches have to design game plans around to stop Reuben Bain. And when you focus on Bain with the other defensive linemen, that's going to help out the entire Miami defense. The question, hopefully he's going to be at full strength. I don't think they'd put him out on the field against Cal if he wasn't ready to go. Last year, like I say, he had 44 tackles, 21 solo. He also had 3 forced fumbles and a big one against Clemson, if you remember that game.
Yes.
or so. That's also he's a difference maker. He's a playmaker. He's a disruptor of offenses, and that's why I believe Mendoza may have a lot of problems if Bain is truly 100% healthy, which I truly hope he is.
Yeah, Cal this season in 4 games, two of those were, against lesser opposition, UC Davis and San Diego State. But against San Diego State, they gave up 6 sacks. They gave up 7 sacks against Florida State. So that's 13 over their last 2 games. They've given up 16 sacks so far this year. So, and I know that their offensive line was a little bit banged up. We'll see how healthy Cal is coming off the bye week, but that's something that could really play into Miami's advantage. Miami's defensive line versus Cal's offensive line, and just really trying to make Fernando Mendoza uncomfortable. Here's a few stats, Raymond, on Cal. Now, I mentioned it before. I'll double down on it. The Bears have not faced an offense as dynamic as Miami so far this year, but Cal, they've allowed 14 points or fewer in each of their 4 games so far this year. The one game that they lost, they only managed to score 9 points against Florida State. They gave up 14. Cal, they're just 1-25 versus AP top 10 opponents over the last 20 years. Their lone win came at home against number 8 Washington State. That was before Cam Ward's time on October 13th of 2017. So that's the only time they've beaten an AP top 10 team. They've got number 8 in town. But Cal, they have already beaten a big favorite this year. Miami are 10.5-point favorites. Auburn, I think we know a little bit more about Auburn now than we did then. Auburn were 11.5-point favorites against Cal. Cal beat them on the road earlier this year. But the last time that Cal, and by the way, Vic Bermudez from WQAM got this stat. I appreciate Vic for this. The last time Cal won consecutive games as a double-digit underdog in a single season was in 2002. So I this is not a they played since they played against Auburn, but I guess the last time I guess that's just any time they face a top 10 team or a double-digit favorite. So if they're going to win consecutive games as double-digit favorites, they haven't done that in 22 years, Ray.
Right, and let's remember who the starting quarterback was a Cal back then, Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I remember watching that game. That was the same year they actually upset. I think one of those upsets was USC at Cal, and that's why I believe USC was number 1 in the country that year. And then Cal came in there and really took it to him. I remember that game quite well, and I could see Aaron Rodgers is going to be a special quarterback in the NFL. Against a lot of guys that did. He played against defense that was a lot of those guys made the NFL and had long careers. So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different quarterback scenario. I'm not sure if Mendoza is that kind of quarterback, but it's going to be a good test for him. But I think with the way Miami's defense is playing, and specifically at the Vatech game last week, and just, if this was a team, several years ago or the last 14, 15 years, that team would have quit. And that team, when they were down by Vatech, and it would have been a scenario where we would have been watching Vatech just score another 28 points and Miami would have done nothing and they would have gone to their shell. But it's a different team with a different mentality. And Ward is the alpha dog, the lead dog, and he's getting it. Even when he made mistakes, like that ridiculous pass, the interception, fumble, whatever they called it, he basically didn't get down on himself. He got up. He said, basically say, we're going to get the ball. We're going to score again. And for the most part, they did, specifically in that second half.
Yeah, and in the second half, the running game got going. I would love to see the running game get going earlier on. In this one, Cal has been good against the run. They're 29th in the country against the rush. So, all right, Ray, I'd like your prediction on this one, Raymond. I mean, I've already put mine on record. I tweaked it a little bit between Thursday and Friday. And the reason why I tweaked it a little bit was I think Cal is going to kick a couple of field goals because, again, every time a kicker lines up against Miami, it'd be good from 70 with the way the kickers have played against Miami. So I think Cal, they're going to score 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals for 20 points. I think Miami's going to score 31. I'm being a little conservative on my Miami scoring prediction only because I don't want to be too bullish after the scare we had last week, but I think Miami barely covers that spread. I've got Miami 31-20 against Cal. What are you thinking for tonight?
Before I throw my prediction down, I want to kind of discuss something I haven't heard from your podcast or really anything else is right now the Bay Area's got a real bad heat wave right now. The high in the Bay Area is going to be 94. They've already talked about the Niners game having issues, people not going to the game. And I've been in that stadium, and it does get very hot the way it's located. So by game time, it's going to be in the upper 80s. Cal has AstroTurf. I don't know what type of turf it is, but that's going to hold that heat. So it's going to be very interesting how the Cal players are going to be able to play at the beginning of that game with the heat. The humidity is going to be very low. So I think that could be a key factor in this entire game. I know I said I felt Borg was going to get 400 yards. I would see Damian Martinez get somewhere between 75 and 100 yards, and the rest of the backs, Cameron Ward get around 50. I would love to see a real balanced offense. Just this is the way the game plan has been going this season. But I'm not going to predict the score. It's just tricky. Not my thing. I prefer them a plus. I say Miami's going to probably easily cover the spread and win by 28 plus. I think once they get that hold, they're going to ram it down Cal's throat. They know what happened against Vatek. They want to keep that momentum going, and I just don't think Mario's going to take his foot off the pedal. He can't. Not with this team. That's not his mentality. He knows he has to keep getting better every week and basically show everybody else the rest of the schedule how good his team is.
I would love that. That's great insight on the weather over there. It sounds like Miami weather. We brought the weather with us to Cal, and I would take a comfortable win. And anything, I don't think my heart can take 2 consecutive weeks of last week's drama, because I was breathing into a paper bag in the fourth quarter. It was not good for my health. It was not good. So I would take a 4-touchdown plus victory. No freaking question about that. Raymond, I appreciate your time, my friend. Enjoy the game tonight. Have lots of Cuban coffee. Take some naps if you can. I would encourage every Miami fan to do that. Whatever you have to do to stay. I'm not even going to be able to take a nap today. I'm taking my kid to birthday parties today, and I'm going to be, while he's at the parties, I'm going to be watching college football on my phone. And I've been up since 6 a.m. I'm going to be up till 5 a.m. probably. We're doing this big today, everyone. So stay hydrated, stay rested, stay caffeinated. Raymond, thank you so much, my friend. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, take care. Have a good luck tonight staying awake. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, being the old man that I am, but enjoy the game.
Go to bed at like 4 and then just like wake up and pretend it's morning time and watch the game that way.
Absolutely. Like when we were younger, we used to do night shifts of work, wherever we were at.
Exactly.
Be a show up at midnight. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the game tonight. Have a great broadcast at WQAM.
Everyone enjoy the game. We'll talk to you again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We're part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.